Good morning, and thank you for tuning in to USA Yesterday. We are coming at you live from the Preppy Prep School, also known as Macaulay. As many of you know, Constantinople has fallen to the Turks. While this is a huge part of this week's breaking news, this will not be the topic of discussion this morning. Many of you know that slaves and the slave trade play a huge part in our economy. Slavery has been a part of our lives for many years. The fall of Constantinople to the Turks has had a huge effect on slave trade. And now, here's Ted with the details.
Thanks, John. Due to the fall of Constantinople, Africa and Europe have joined together to build a new economy. As John said, slaves and the slave trade play a huge part in our economy. I am predicting that this slave trade will have a positive and negative effect on the world. I will be discussing the good parts, while my colleague Ben will be discussing the negative effects this new slave trade between Africa and the great country of Europe will have on the world. This new slave trade has brought about a larger amount of plantations. These plantations are also humongous. The plantations have been a large part of our economy. They bring in a lot of revenue, but they also require a lot of slaves. The plantations that are the most abundant right now are those that produce exotic commodities, such as sugar. Sugar production requires a large workforce. My colleague Ben will now give you the information on the negative effects that this slave trade will have on the world. Ben?
Thanks, Ted. I am now realizing that you have the stupidest accent I have ever heard. But that's not the matter at hand. What were we talking about again? Oh yes, slaves. Well, you see, the African people have been enslaving other Africans from other tribes for many years now. They have been buying and selling slaves between tribes and between other people for a long time. Everyone who was a slave is moved around between people until they were eventually sold off to another tribe. The Europeans and Africans have bonded together to build up this new economy, but the Europeans are starting to buy some slaves from the Africans, but the Africans are not selling their own. They're going to get them from other tribes, and now they're beginning to sell them to the Europeans. The Portuguese have started slave raiding. They're going into African tribes, and they are stealing and kidnapping the African slaves from the tribes that own them. The Portuguese think that this is lucrative, but they are also thinking it was dangerous. Soon, I predict many millions of slaves will be traded. Colonel out.